Star Citizen 4.2 just went live today, and in this video we're going to go over all the updates in this build. Before we get started, I'd like to let you know that we're actually doing a giveaway for a LTI Xperia Prowler with a digital package, game package for Star Citizen. Kudos to CIG, really giving it over to the channel for one of you guys to win it. And this is actually the last day to participate. If you want to participate in this giveaway, all I'm asking is just be subscribed and leave a comment in all the videos between Alien Week and today is the last day of Alien Week. By the way, this is not a paid promotion. Let's get straight into this video. All right guys, so features gameplay for Star Citizen 4.2. A few new additions as we've seen in the PTU. The very first one is being the new sandbox persistent activity Stormbreaker, which involves multiple locations where you have to go to these various locations to get a key and to get an egg and eventually call up the Apex battle card, the very first Apex battle card that we've seen in the game yet, which is pretty awesome. So 3 different locations: ASD data centers, which is on Pyro 4, ASD shuttle stations, which is on Pyro 1, and the ASD research facilities, which is the main location where you'll actually find the Apex battle card. It's really interesting. I'm really excited to actually do it now that it's actually live. So let's continue. So next thing is environmental hazard, which is radiation. It's finally being added to the game, which is pretty cool. So essentially what this is certain zones, if you go to certain zones or go near certain things, they may have radiation, and depending on the suit you have and the protection level that it has, it will protect you for a certain amount of time. And what you'll see is you'll notice in the UI of your helmet how much radiation you're taking and how much you and how quickly it's actually affecting your player character. So you just have to keep an eye on it. With this, they did introduce radiation suits, which I believe we'll talk about further in the patch notes. Next, they've added some updates to Rello, some of the ships that we can get. So here it says they've added multiple new ships to Rello Imperium. It says the Mirai Guardian QY, Ambo Mach 2, Super Hornet, which is pretty cool. The Misfortune, Apollo Nox, Mirai Pulse, and the RSI Ursa Medevac. All right, so these ships and vehicles, in addition to the previous added ones, can be unlocked by bringing the NPC with Rello a number of favors in exchange for the reward. Pretty cool. It's always good to actually have other ways aside from AUC to earn certain ships, especially the limited ships like the F8. It's really cool. So next is equipment swapping. Essentially what this is through the new UI for looting, you can have an armor set that you have currently on you, and if you're looting on another player character or an NPC on the ground and you want to swap the armor, you can do that and keep the items that's attached to the armor on you. So it'll just swap it and you'll keep whatever's on you. Essentially, if there isn't enough space to fit all the items on the new armor, then it will either put it in your backpack or drop it on the floor. That is essentially what this is talking about here. Okay, so additionally, they have some gameplay updates. It says all med beds will now protect players up to 30 seconds, which is pretty cool. The reason why they did this was at the new ASD locations, players were camping the med beds, essentially killing you, and you're like, if you've seen it in the PTU, there's like 100 bodies around the med bed. So people were doing that, so they implemented this 30 seconds. So it says just be careful that the bed while in the bed, so it'll last for 30 seconds while you're in the bed, and will be canceled if you're getting out of the bed before the 30 seconds are up. They've increased refinery jobs, which is good for the miners, and reward balance for the Rayari gathering missions. They've updated Bounty Hunter Guild missions to use rebalance and encountered from the patrol missions V1, and slightly increased the number of copium in the acidic caves. Nice. All right, so let's move on to locations. All right, so exterior, proxy, polish, This has to do with clipping here. Also, they've added bigger cloud formations in Pyro 4. So now with Pyro 4, they've added raining as well, the dynamic rain, which we'll talk about further down the line. But dynamic rain is on Pyro 4 and Pyro 1. Okay, so and it says here they've increased the temperature as well in Pyro 4. All right, so moving on, new hairstyles. They're doing this in every patch, so we can expect which ultimately means more customization for your characters. Next will be ships and vehicles. Okay, so new vehicles, it says Argo, Atlas, ICT, Geo ICT, and ICT Rad, which is probably associated with radiation. Probably gives you additional radiation protection while you're in this one. It says these new Atlas combat mining variants are found in game through various means. The ICT and Geo ICT are new trade deal for kilos for various components, which is nice. The ICT Rad is exclusively found at the new ASD facilities in Pyro. So how do we get it? How do we own it? Can we take it and own it forever? Can we claim it? That's my question, right? Because it seems like these ones we can get from Rello, that means we keep it. Rello gives it to us, it becomes bound to our account until the next full wipe. Okay, but these Rad, if they're exclusively at this ASD facilities, can we keep them? I probably not, but we'll see. All right, so new vehicle, Xperia Prowler Utility, which is added, which is what I was talking about with the giveaway. And it says introducing the newest Xperia's newest stealth hauler, the Prowler Utility 32. Utility's 32 SU cargo hold is easily managed with integrated tractor beam, matching practically with visual flare. So it did get a downsize in the weaponry in comparison to the basic, the regular Prowler. In exchange, you have cargo. Okay, the Prowlers themselves have gotten the buff in terms of its signatures as well, so it's going to be really good for. I did test it. It's really good with its signatures. Really good. So it's don't sleep on it. You know, stealth gameplay is going to be big. Don't sleep on it. All right, so scanning mode and target UI updates. It says the scanning mode UI has been updated with further visual improvements. I didn't notice this in the PTU. Lowered the required base emission to scan for ship's pilot name from 80% to 10%, allowing you to identify player name more quickly from further away. Recently, they removed the ability to see player names immediately. This way, they want you to actually discover it through scanning. So, little by little, they're adding exploration features into the game, which is nice. Additionally, we have streamlined ship targeted markers. Limit the number of non-proximity chevron to 5. Example, neutral targets. Targets show a chevron until you target or pin them. Scan waves reveal all valid targets with their names and distances. Okay. Shield regen updates. It says updated shield to reserve buffer per face instead of one pool. So what we've been doing with the capital ships, essentially, when you cycle your ship mid combat and your shields are down, let's say one side is down, what people would do, including myself, is I would cycle from nav mode to SCM, and it will put the shield health points into a pool, and then when I switch back, it will redistribute equally on each side. Kind of helps you survive a little bit longer in combat. CIG is removing that, so you have to literally manage the shields. All right, so that's essentially what this is. Okay, so next, Prowler Series updates. I told you guys, it says with the release of newly added Prowler Utility, many balance changes have been made to base Prowler to bring it more in line with its intended role in the universe. Reduced the Xperia Prowler Series cross-section value by 50%, over 50%. That's pretty good. We've made a moderate health damage reduction and critical damage threshold increase. Wing and joint health has been increased to further reduce their them being broken off. lesser torque imbalance multiplier, a small increase to quantum fuel amount, which is nice. Idris Series update greatly increased the Idris Series capacitor ammunition, increased turret rotation speed while adding rotation acceleration and deceleration times, increase the Idris alpha damage to meet size 7 damage weapon standard from 2306 to 6750. That's insanely that's insane. that's actually insane. That's literally about 3 times, so that's pretty good. Greatly increased the hangar door and ramp health, added missing gimbal on turrets, and returned remote turret traversal speed. Starlancer series also got an update. The SCM nav and boost max speed has increased. We did notice that it was slow when the TAC came out. It was really slow, horrendously slow. So I'm glad that they're updating this. They reduced light range on ramp and drop door projectors. For the TAC itself, they've updated hydrogen tank to 48 SU. I'm not sure what it was before. I can't remember off the top of my head. Quantum fuel tank to 3.35. Yeah, I recall it had a very small quantum fuel tank. For being a dropship, it needs a little bit more range. That was my initial impression when I first used it. So them buffing it this way is a good move in the right direction. All right, so now let's move on. Missiles and torpedo balance. This is huge. All right. Across the board, missiles and torpedoes have been readjusted to increase minimum lock range and lock timers. Added minimum activation distance for fired torpedoes to around 1500 meters. Decreased minimum to maximum explosion radius on hit and increased health. So torpedoes are going to be tanky, which is really good. This makes the RSI Polaris finally a deadly ship, right? So now what I ask is, the thing is with the Polaris, it shoots one at a time. So what you want really is to launch multiple torps one at the same time for it to actually be effective. This way your turrets, the defending turrets will have to do actual damage to the torps for a bit before they actually explode. So while doing that, if you're launching, let's say 4 at the same time, like the Idris T, then odds are one of them is going to hit. And that's all you need. You need one torp to really hit you to do critical damage, right, with the Polaris and the Idris. So this is good. So this is missiles and torps, by the way. It says greatly increased torpedo tracking capabilities. Explosion audiences will now explode when distorted and safety is off. Also with the missiles and torpedoes, there is a distance where it won't activate. So if you're up close, it won't activate. We can't be dump firing like we used to. Can't be up close and dump firing like we used to. The missile just bounce off of the ship. So just be aware of that. Okay, so essentially CIG wants us to lock and launch, which is what I want it to be. So this is a good update. So I'm really excited to actually testing this out. So ground vehicle scanning and adjustment. Essentially it says they set the ground vehicles to the same baseline 0.1 as a ship pilot standardized scanning baseline to signal quality range requirements for ships and ground vehicles scan information. All right, so these are the numbers right here for that. Additional ship updates and vehicle updates. Flight turbulence has been added. So if you're flying close to the ground or you're in a storm, you'll feel it. Okay, they've added flight blades and controllers, and the CST 313 Callisto bomb rack to the PU shops, which is nice. These were the things that CIG put out in the stores first, and the player base wanted them to add it into the game as a way to also get it instead of just feeling like it's pay to win. So good update. Added updated 300 series for its guns to be 1-to-1 in terms of the gimbal. So if there's a size 4 mount, it should be a size 4 weapon that can go on it and actually have gimbal functionality. just like all the other ships which they did this update. So I guess during the series is just getting that update. They've increased ship's soft death ratio, so this will cause ships to enter soft death at a higher health pool. Nice. This is leading us into engineering gameplay. They want us to shut down ships instead of blowing them up. This way, boarding action and the possibility of bringing your ship back alive to be a thing. So that is nice. Updated all engineering components and health scaling with increases and decreases across components. Swapped regen and slap-down balances for shield generators. Atlas variants can now be called using freight elevators. This is huge. Freight elevators deliver it on after delivering it to the location on a SUP. Updated the ship UI messaging to reflect the average distortion of power plants as a percentage. Enabled the countermeasure action while in a scan mode. They've added gimbal to the ground vehicle's remote turrets. Reduced the anvil, Asgard and Valkyrie cross-section emissions. That is a nice update. They've changed the singe cannons to be bespoke to the Banu Defender. Greatly increased the Polaris in 890 jump hangar door and ramp health, which is nice. They've updated the Gladiator to allow missile swapping. Slightly increase the Valkyrie and Asgard maximum ammo capacity. Increase the Anvil Centurion maximum turret ammo ammunition. Increased slightly restricted the Polaris turret gimbal movement to avoid them clipping through the ship. Slight reduction to the Gladius max pitch velocity and added missing C8 Pisces armor damage reduced modifier. All right, so now weapons. Okay, so Volt Prism shotgun came out. Awesome. It's pretty deadly. I had a bit of experience with it. It's pretty deadly. It's actually the first time I'm actually excited about using a shotgun. I really like this one. Nuclear Life decom pen extra. So this is what's going to help you combat the radiation that you're going to be experiencing in the game. So it's a new med pen that they've added to the game. R97 shotgun balance has been done. Decrease the pellet per shot from 12 to 8. Increase damage from 3.66 to 4, and decrease the ADS spread modifier from 0.66 to 0.75. Increase the minimum spread from 2 to 3, and the maximum spread increase from 5.85 to 6.5. Increase your yaw recoil from 0.3 to 0.45. Additional weapon updates. Volt shotgun mag added to shops. Nice. The environmental suit added to shops. Nice. Adjusted the Volt weapon series modifier to increase hipfire recoil feel. They've updated all environmental suits tolerance to approximately minus 150 degrees Celsius to 175 degrees. They've added a base radiation resistance to all armor. Very nice. All right, so now they made a few updates to the core tech. Okay, so core tech dynamic rain has been added, so you can expect dynamic rain in Pyro 4, Pyro 1, Lorville, and Era 18. I'm sure after each patch they'll be adding more planets and locations that will have dynamic rain. This is really good. Rain, it's really good. The way they've implemented it, I'm really happy about that. Long-term persistence, they've added more additions to that. They've added flat blades and bomb rack atoms to the long-term persistent records, which means from patch to patch you'll keep them until they do a full wipe. They've added fauna harvestables to long-term persistence post 4.2, so after 4.2. So you're looking at your Copian horns, irradiated horns, Mirok gem, Ranta dung, Amiyashi plague, irradiated Valakar fang, adult, juvenile, and apex, Velakar skin, and chitin. I'm not exactly sure what chitin is. I don't think I've seen that in the game. All right. Additional core tech. It says here they update to ability for locked doors to require multiple forms of authentication to open, such having to wear specific clothing, armor, or helmet. This tech is currently used at the new ASD locations. really nice. They've routed items, recovery items through the player's home inventory. If the target medbed doesn't have a valid landing zone, this will be a buffer zone for items to be stored in the player's home location to add additional level of reliability for when a player's spawn point is no longer existing. All right, refactored how we handle cleanup and lifetime of entity spawn by mission location modules to allow better handling after DJ's crash recovery. New spawn closets and assumption logic to pause and reset auto spawn tasks. This will help to limit location to the amount of FPS AI reset for the area. Slightly reduced water light reflection to be less intense due to intense flashing. Terrain physicalization and performance optimization. Area 18 traffic CPU to GPU performance conversion. This is nice. I did notice even in Lorville, performance there was actually pretty good, and I tested the release candidate 3, which is the one that's actually going live, so it's really nice. Further 3D comms calls visual polish pass, made various client and server performance improvements, and made various networking improvements. So that is essentially what we got in 4.2. Before I let you go, don't forget about the Xperia Prowler Utility giveaway. Make sure you're liking, make sure you're subscribing, and leaving a comment. This is the last day to do it, so make sure you're doing that if you want to participate in that giveaway. All right, I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.